When I think of my nostalgia for Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, I recall exiting a series high and exploring some new elements of its story. I recall those narrative moments to be largely serviceable to blah, but do recall that the gameplay really kept my interest and had a good time with the mechanics. And after rewatching my playthrough, I've decided to place it ahead of Golden Sun 1. Here's why. While playing through the game, I was intrigued by the 3 character routes that were available. I think it presented a different way to interact with Kingdom Hearts and offered a great opportunity to fill in some of the story holes. However, I was also wary of the system because there was an opportunity for each route to be largely the same with minor perspective shifts, and that concerned me. And the game was kind of that, but kind of not. Much of the actual plot development was short and each route went through the same worlds. For Terra and Ventus, they got to experience different sections of those worlds, which kept them fresher. Aqua, on the other hand, would retread the same areas the other 2 did, as I played her route last. That aspect did pull more weight in the playthrough than I thought as well. I played Terra, Ventus, and Aqua in that order, and progressively disliked each route after the first. Terra's route felt like the strongest, tackling a descent into a dark path and creating a quasi-origin story for Xehanort. Terra also had the most exciting fights, such as Ericus, Xehanort, and Vanitas, and then the Terra-controlled Xehanort. With that said, my mastery of the game and its systems was at an all-time low, so I felt somewhat weak. Ventus's route did a decent job filling in some holes, but severely lacked in overall depth and importance. His route also failed to answer the most important question I had for the game, which was why Ventus looked like Roxas. On top of that, this route introduced the Keyblade, which is written as Italics X-Blade, but for some reason is pronounced Keyblade. This bothered me to no end, as I couldn't understand why you would present 2 types of Keyblades and call them both Keyblade, but they are very different. Aqua's route was by far the weakest and most disappointing. She's not only retreading areas that Terra or Ventus already went to, but she is also sometimes fighting the same bosses. Her route suffers a great deal because she's behind the action the entire time. She's chasing after 2 people who are part of the action, and all that's left for her are leftovers and scraps. In my overall thoughts, I felt that I really liked the mechanics of the game, but ran into a strange difficulty spike when deep space popped up for all routes. At that point, my damage output drastically reduced and made the experience more time-consuming than it needed to be. However, its take on combat was neat to experience. It felt like something that would fit with the franchise, and it all clicked. Customization was still present, and the ability to swap out spells and attacks to match a fight or playstyle was very cool. But despite my praise for the gameplay, this entry felt similar to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. There was very little context to where and why the game fits into the franchise and struggles to justify its existence. It adds backstory to Xehanort while introducing multiple new characters that have no connection, purpose, or interaction with the series titles that come before it, and I struggled with that realization. For the rewatch, I admittedly felt intrigued at where everything would go, but largely felt disappointed by the execution. Terra's route was significantly stronger than the others, but despite the short runtime, still felt rushed while lacking context and elaboration. His descent into darkness, nor his battle with the darkness felt genuine, and instead, just something that happens without justification. And from there, the aspects of the story got progressively worse. Ventus had the opportunity to provide a unique perspective, but instead goofed around until it was his turn at the Keyblade Graveyard. Aqua, as my past self mentioned, was just a straggler picking up the scraps and just didn't feel like a worthwhile route. Mechanically, I found the game to be pretty fascinating. Not only were the options for customization still great in number, but the addition of spells and dimension links altering combos was a breath of fresh air. There was also a decent amount of mobility options, which helped traversal and combat navigation. Ultimately, it seemed like a neat transition to take the systems. Based on memory, I ranked Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep at 85 out of 117, and we can likely say that this one won't be taking any high spots. It makes a concerted effort at expanding the mythos of Kingdom Hearts and presents some interesting and frustrating questions, but it also fails to escape the same traps its predecessors encountered. I probably sound like a broken record at this point when I say that the Disney worlds don't add anything to the dynamic or story. The character development is sparse and filled with the trite moments of hearts and the power of friendship. Brand new characters are introduced and are just not given enough development, while familiar-looking characters are created in what seems to be an effort just to confuse the audience. My past self said that it was 1000% stupid to make one of your characters look like another character and then not explain why that is, and I agree. I felt no effort was made to answer the question of why Ventus looks like Roxas and why Vanitas looks like Sora, but that's just what Kingdom Hearts is, presenting more questions while answering just a few. So, I think Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep comes up ahead of Golden Sun 1. Its narrative is lacking and it struggles to find its place in the franchise up to this point. However, the gameplay is fun and the game is short enough that it doesn't drag on for too long.